didn't know James as well as many people in the room, but I did meet him a few dozen times over the last few years. And I'd just like to say my impression of him, he quietened me every time I was around him because he seemed so wise. And I think he seemed wise because he was kind and he was gentle and he was courteous and he was humble. And I think that's what constitutes the highest form of wisdom that I can think of. And that's how I'll think of him. And I think if anyone leaves a legacy when people think of them that way, then they should consider themselves very rich. So I'm just going to read my favourite poem of James's, one poem called Chaos Bringing Chaos, etc. Two-dimensional apple buds all round the edge circles, largest opposite pole to where stalk would have been. Larger circles inhibit growth of circles near them. Circles bud from circumferences, circles maintaining largest opposite pole to where stalk would have been, magnifying. From one edge of where apple buds largest circle, more circles, budding circles, push borders into sand, create exotic patterns as sand turns in on itself, falls into darkness, waves flow into channels left by sand, swallowed by darkness, more waves break out of darkness into sand, increase wavelength, more sand spills from dead sea urchins, made out of sand, pushed together from all sides, breaking into sand, again along one side, magnifying, from where some sand turns in on itself. Turning under and over sand are waves, sand turning in on itself a backbone, each vertebra pairs of dead sea urchins, breaking into sand again along one side, magnifying, backbone encloses lagoons, coral reefs curve out from dead sea urchins, skeleton sutures turn in on themselves, fall into darkness, downward movement restricted, forming small dead sea urchins, two coral reefs fusing into each other from opposite directions, sprout two more coral reefs, growing out at right angles, curving round in opposite directions, in on themselves, fall into darkness, magnifying, each coral reef a backbone, each vertebra pairs of dead sea urchins, two backbones, fusing into each other from opposite directions, sprout two more backbones, growing out at right angles, curving round in opposite directions, in on themselves, fall into darkness. In centre of this, a crossroads, are two-dimensional apple buds, all round edges, circles, largest opposite pole to where stalk would have been, magnifying, apple budding, circles enclosed in teardrop, leaking streams of saline, all round edge, streams curving round, changing direction, alternating lengths from stream to stream, turning in of themselves, fall into darkness, furthest streams inhibiting reach of streams near them, furthest 8 streams after forming several dead sea urchins, alternating from stream to stream, curving round in one direction, in on themselves, fall into darkness in other direction, curving round, fuse into stream, coming the other way from outside, breaking into 2 more streams, flowing out at right angles, curving round, in of themselves, fall into darkness, magnifying, enveloping, apple budding circles, a cushioning layer, very tip of apple root with line running down the middle, grows out from cushioning layer, bulge near golden section of way down the length in centre of bulge, apple budding circles near beginning of root, much smaller bulge, apple budding circles between it and first bulge, even smaller bulge, apple budding circles near golden section of way down the length, all round root, rest of the cushioning layers are root hairs curving round, changing direction, alternating lengths from root hair to root hair.